Earl Arms.
And I'm Sade Moore-Beeman.
And welcome to the Sights and Sounds of Milwaukee's 53rd Juneteenth Celebration.
Our unit flag was built and we had
I know Sergeant is like, you can.
Greetings, my brothers and sisters. Thank you. What a joyful time. We are celebrating the 53rd anniversary of Juneteenth Day in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I have been lucky enough to make it to every one of them from the very beginning. How about that?
Juneteenth Day, and it's great to be here. It's great to be home. You know, I grew up not far from here. Just so many memories. But bottom line, you know, right there on 15th and Capitol, 87 grad of Wisconsin Lutheran High School. This is what it's all about. 34 years United States Army, Major General, and I will tell you, I'm only here because of your investment in me throughout all of those years, even growing up right down here off of 3rd Street.
I know why you're here. Can everybody say freedom? Can everybody say education? And can everybody say power? When you get freedom, education, and power, that is the representation of Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth Day, y'all! Happy Freedom Day!
5 hops this time. Right foot, let's go.
Happy Juneteenth Day!
The parade was fun and it was a success, but it won't be a celebration without the coronation of Mr. and Mrs. Juneteenth.
Mr. Juneteenth himself, Mr. Matthew Goss, Miss Zoe Chambers, Miss 2024 Juneteenth.
How does it feel to be Mr. and Mrs. Juneteenth?
For me, being Mr. Juneteenth is an honor. I take service work and advocacy work really seriously, but it also feels very good to be recognized and to celebrate my heritage.
Yes, I would just say for me, it feels great just to have influence and have a platform to continue advocating for my peers in a great way.
Please give them another hand of applause because these young people are doing it. This is our future. Let's encourage them.
Hello, folks. Once again from the corner of MLK and Burleigh here at the 53rd Annual Juneteenth Celebration here in Milwaukee. We're here with Kristen Harris of Varsity Blood Center of Wisconsin, the Community Outreach Manager. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you, and happy Juneteenth to you.
Happy Juneteenth, yeah.
So talk about the work that you're doing with the Blood Center, talking about sickle cell awareness. Talk about why that's so important, especially out here with all these black folks here on Juneteenth.
Absolutely. Well, we do know that sickle cell typically affects people of color, and it's a heavy disease on people of color, especially blacks. And so we know that we're moving into Versity on King, which is our new location right up the street on MLK and Garfield. And so we'll be a first floor tenant in the Thrive On building. So there we'll be really focused on sickle cell, because we know in the 53212 zip code, which we're in, we have at least 50 people living with sickle cell. So we need to educate the community on what sickle cell is and how donating blood, you can help save the lives of, everyone, but also those living with sickle cell, because they rely heavily on blood transfusions when they have crisis situations.
And you just had the opening on King Drive. Talk about the significance of the location. I think you went into it a little bit, but talk more about why it's so important to have it at that location.
Yeah, so we opened today, actually. We've had some soft openings, but we have a hard launch today. And we just know that there's a lot of mistrust with healthcare in the Black community, people of color in general, but Black community, just because of, the mistrust of healthcare and providers for years and years, decades, generations. And so we know we have to do some education around what blood is and what blood donation is, and also focus on, obviously, the sickle cell disease, but other diseases that affect communities of color. But I think when we think about sickle cell, it doesn't always affect us until we figure out if we know someone living with it. So if you say, do you know anyone living with sickle cell? And you say, no, it might not affect you. But then if you realize you have a cousin or an aunt, you're like, oh yeah, let me give so I can help him or her out. So we want to just open up that mindset of, we want to help everyone, not just your aunt or your cousin. So it's important for us to be here. We're not a part of healthcare per se. We're not a hospital. We're not, a clinic, but we are people with needles moving into a predominantly Black neighborhood where there's a lot of mistrust with healthcare. So we have a lot of work to do.
Well, great clarification there. If people want to learn more about Versity and what you do and how to find you, how can they do that?
Versity, VERSIT.org is our website and all socials. So you can find all of our donor centers if you'd like to donate, as well as our Versity on King site that we just opened up a few blocks from here.
All right, Kristen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Within the Juneteenth celebration, seniors at Clinton Rose Park were able to register to vote, in addition to veterans providing resources in commemoration of the Emancipation and in support of one another.
Right now, they're having a special voting session. Lena Taylor is no longer in this district, so now they're voting for a new person to take her position. And so they're having voting registration here, as well as early voting. I was asked by Stars and Stripes to come and represent what you call an honor flight for those that was in the Vietnam era. So I'm here passing out applications, and then they will have the right to take a flight to Washington, D.C. I'm encouraging a lot of our African Americans to get involved with the flight.
A space called the Teen Zone offers a safe atmosphere during Juneteenth, including 414 Life, a ceasefire group for victims of violence.
414 Life, through the Medical College of Wisconsin and the Department of Office of Community Wellness and Safety. We are a ceasefire group. We have a 3-part component, hospital responders for gunshot victims, and we also have an outreach team which goes out and makes sure that we provide those victims with sustainable resources to get their life reacclimated after having a tragic incident. And then we also have violence interrupters. This year, the Teen Zone is designed for a safe space for our young people that want to come enjoy the Juneteenth festivities here. And so we provided a safe atmosphere. The teens have never had a space to go in Juneteenth. The goal this year is with our collective impact group through Credible Messengers through Milwaukee County and the OCWS, the Office of Wellness and Safety with the Promise Keepers. We're here with our mentors and crisis intervention people as well as community interventionists. And what we're doing is making sure that we're engaging our young people in a real way to stay positive, to stay safe. And so this is what the Teen Zone is about this year.
Juneteenth's history begins during the Civil War. During the summer of 1862, the Union is not faring so well. In September, President Abraham Lincoln issued a proclamation that if the rebels did not end the fighting and rejoin the Union by January 1st, 1863, all enslaved people in the rebellious states would be free. On Freedom's Eve, the eve of January 1st, 1863, free and enslaved African Americans gathered for the first watch night services in churches and private homes, awaiting news that the Emancipation Proclamation had taken place. but there was no way to enforce it. During the summer of 1863, the Battle of Gettysburg turned the war in the Union's favor. The war would last for 2 more years. The emancipation would take even longer. Then, on June 19, 1865, Juneteenth, 2,000 Union troops arrived in Galveston, Texas, the westernmost state in the Confederacy, with the news of freedom for the state's 250,000 enslaved African Americans. The date will become a catalyst for African Americans to celebrate their freedom in the United States. Here in Milwaukee, Northcott Neighborhood House has sponsored an annual celebration since 1972. That's when staff member Margaret Rogers told others how much she enjoyed a Juneteenth celebration in Georgia while they were visiting her grandparents. The first year attracted about 3,000 people. Subsequent years would attract as many as 170,000 people. Juneteenth is by far the biggest venture undertaken by Northcott Neighborhood House. The multi-purpose community center was established by the United Methodist Church in 1961. It provides education, employment opportunities, and basic necessities to youth, families, and senior citizens in the Milwaukee metropolitan area.
Actually, I'm getting kind of nostalgic. I grew up in the late 50s and 60s, the John Wayne era, you know, and all the war movies and whatnot on TV. So, yeah, I really did want to be a soldier.
Ricky Townsell always dreamed of serving his country.
I was in Wisconsin Army National Guard for 19 years.
But when health issues got in the way, he got creative in his approach.
This is the frock coat. There are 2 different types of coats that you'll see on Union troops. When I found out about the reenactment unit, it was like, what's the term? It was like a surrogate, you know. It took the place of my active military stuff. This is the standard weapon of a soldier in the Army during the Civil War.
Townsell is a first sergeant of Company F of the 29th Infantry U.S. Colored Troops, a reenactment group dedicated to sharing the stories of the only African-American Civil War unit credited to Wisconsin.
And it wasn't unusual for soldiers mustering out to have their photos taken, especially if they had their spouse with them as a memento of their service. And one interesting thing is we're not smiling. Rarely will you find a picture from the 19th century where the person is smiling.
Nationwide, United States colored troops made up nearly 10% of the Union Army, although they were banned from joining until 15 months into the war. Company F, 29th United States Colored Troops, was composed primarily of black soldiers who volunteered to serve in place of white residents.
After the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, it became legal for black people to join the military. In every state in the Union, most of them wanted to have their own colored regiment. There wasn't enough blacks in Wisconsin and Illinois and surrounding states to form a regiment, so what they did was they federalized the 29th Illinois, which was a state unit, and they made it the 29th United States Colored Troops, which meant they were able to recruit from Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, and other surrounding states. So the regiment had been formed with the exception of Company F. And 75 black men from Milwaukee answered the call to go to Quincy, Illinois, and we formed the nucleus of Company F.
Forward, march!
What we do is a part of not only history, American history, but Milwaukee's history.
Company, halt!
The more and more I found out about this unit, the more I felt it was our responsibility to let other, not just black people, but let everybody know about the role that the 29th, that Company F, folks from Wisconsin, black people from Wisconsin, played in the Civil War.
Left shoulder, shift!
The group gives a new meaning to living history, or should I say, reliving.
March! We have to be period correct. We call them the period police, okay? It's their job when we take part in an encampment. They go around to make sure that every encampment is period correct. There's no plastic bottles showing, no soda cans.
When we went to the battles, that was interesting because the first couple of times we went, the white troops really didn't take too well to us being a black unit, but we carried on. We overcame that.
And the group isn't just for men.
I portray one of the ladies that when the war broke out and the men left the plantation, well, the women followed the men. They packed up their homes, put them in wagons, and they followed behind the men, about a mile behind.
Right face! Shift!
And although the group has shrunk in size,
we just don't have enough participation. We don't have enough men to do this, and we need younger men.
Order, arms.
the history of the 29th Infantry is as important now as it was all those centuries ago.
I made a vow to myself that I'm going to continue to do this as long as I can, as long as I continue to move about. And we're bringing young people in as fast as we can, you know, so. But if we were no longer, then I fear nobody would know about those 75 black men that went to Quincy, Illinois, to fight for freedom.
The city of Delavan and the city of Beloit makes a decision to celebrate the Emancipation Proclamation. They don't call it Juneteenth Day, they don't see it, but they see it as the emancipation, the ending of slavery, and so that they do all sorts of unique things like picnic, parade, they do church services, and they do it over a week's period of time, and they collaborate together in doing so. And so that is very significant. This happens in 1886. The 50-year anniversary is done by Governor Phillips. Governor Phillips makes a decision to put together an exhibit. First, he puts together a fantastic committee, and then he puts together an exhibit that goes down to Chicago. And he celebrates African Americans being in the state of Wisconsin and the contributions that they bring to the state of Wisconsin. He is essentially asking, with this exhibit, look at the fine work in which African Americans contribute to building. We encourage you to put your factories in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, because we have some good people and you can hire them to do this great work. This is part of the industrial growth of this country, and Wisconsin gets in on it very early. And this exhibit is to showcase the workmanship of African Americans in the state of Wisconsin.
Welcome back, folks, to the 53rd Annual Juneteenth Festival. I am here with Edward Wabarocha with the African Cultural Festival. How you doing, Edward?
Pretty good, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy Juneteenth to you.
Happy Juneteenth to you, too, as well. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk about this cultural festival. What should the people know about it?
They should know that there's a long history with the Cultural Festival. It started back in the 80s as the African Heritage Picnic, where hundreds of Africans that are here in the city of Milwaukee and the surrounding counties came together as a large picnic up in Dreska Park. So for many years, it was just us celebrating, being aware of who was in the community, getting the brothership and fellowship with each other. And then eventually it grew into a cultural festival probably back in the early 2000s.
What's all a part of this festival? What are people going to see when they go, and what makes it unique?
I think what makes it unique is that it's a heritage festival. It's a way of us showing and celebrating our culture with our community. So a lot of the African culture, and a lot of ethnic cultures in the city of Milwaukee, we all come from other places. So it's a way of celebrating our heritage, our homeland with you. So what they're going to see is they're going to see dancing, we're going to have music, we're going to have food, we're going to have entertainment, all that we are things that we're associated with and sharing it with you. So some people might say it's different, which it is, but it's more of like a custom, you know, things that the African community do that a lot of people are not aware of. We share it with others. That's the way the African community, the African American community, that's the way the African community is sharing here with the rest of the community. So I think for me, it's very exciting because it's a way of giving back. It's a way of educating. It's a family event. And I think everybody's going to feel welcome, and we're eager to share the things that we know and the things that we've learned over the past with others.
Absolutely. So talk about where it's going to be this year. How can people find out about it this year, and where can we get more information?
So this year, just like the last 2-3 years, we've been at Brown Deer Park.
Okay.
Areas 2 and 3. It's on July 6th. We have a social media page on Facebook. There's 3 social media pages from the previous years, but if you find our updated page on Facebook, you should be able to see us. We're also on Milwaukee. Milwaukee has put us on our page as one of the festivals to attend. And then we do have posters and flyers around the city as well at certain communities and restaurants.
All right, Edward, we will be on the lookout. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, Mr. Arms.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Yep.
One of the most memorable parts of the day was all of the different foods offered by vendors.
Mr. Nelson, world famous turkey leg. You shake it, you break it off the bone. If you not come out the bone, I give your money back.
Many of the food vendors were family-owned.
We have 4 kids, and we try to teach all our kids the importance of family first. Family first. And what better way to teach it than to show it. Think about having a good time. There's a lot of things that people do every day. There's a lot of things they do every day. But one thing that everybody has to do every day, and that's eat.
Which one of them burn is right there, man. When I think about, it was my fathers and my uncles, my grandmothers that taught me how to cook and what it means to bring family together. Because we get busy, right? Everyone has things to do. Everyone has their own life. But when you bring everyone together, one thing about, and especially barbecue in my opinion is one of the only foods that bring every culture together. From Wall Street to construction workers, everyone comes together. This is my first Juneteenth in Milwaukee. Born and raised in Dallas, Texas. I got family that lives here. And so I decided to come up and bring Texas brisket to the Juneteenth in Milwaukee.
Win on the barbecue.
When you think about the culture, it was family first, right? And so you can't have an event like this for 50 plus years without family. Family is necessary. So when we think about Juneteenth and we have to go back, we talk about slavery, there's a culture that we created within slavery, the food. Everything that we think about as soul food came from the things that we brought from Africa and the things that we had to use that were left over, that were scraps. That's the culture we had to do, right? We created a culture that's world-renowned.
What is the importance of a family building a business together?
It's the best thing in the world. When everybody can pitch in and they do their part, you can't beat it. I've been doing this for 43 years. I look at everybody as my family. I'm gonna make sure that they get what they want.
I see you out here every year. So what is the importance of food on Juneteenth? Why is food such a big deal in the culture?
Because that's a black folks thing. That's a black culture thing. Everybody get together and cook. It's just a black thing. You know what I'm saying? That people do. And this what people need to do anyway. They need to stick together and love one another. And that's real.
Food brings us together?
The food brings you together. It's good for your soul.
Welcome back, folks. Earl Arms here on the corner of MLK and Burleigh here at the 53rd Annual Juneteenth Celebration here in Milwaukee. Joined here by a special guest, Ashley Jordan of Black Arts MKE, the director and the...
Of Arts and Cultural Programming.
There we go. Yeah, that's her title, right? So we're going to talk. We've talked about a few things that you have going on. We'll go in chronological order starting in July. You got a summer camp going on, so talk about that.
Yeah, so we have a wonderful summer camp that is coming up. We do it every single year, ages 12 through 18. It's a free camp. It's multidisciplinary. So we teach the youth about theater, film, music, dance, all of those wonderful things. And we provide meals for the students. And then at the very end, the youth put together a final performance.
Okay, no, sounds lovely. And then going into August, we got the festival. Okay, you can just say, is it emotional for you, or is it hot? What's going on?
It's a little bit of that barbecue smoke coming through. I smell the food food. It's abundant.
It's good. It smells good, don't it?
It smells good. So I'm like, okay, let me get myself
got you
together
the tears,
and fight through. Yes.
All right. But no, August though, we have the festival. So talk about that, please.
Yeah, so the Milwaukee Black Theater Festival, very robust. We are going to kick it off with our Youth and Family Night, which I will be producing. We invite all of the theaters, the arts organizations to come and participate in that. And then after that, we have a multitude of productions for colored girls who have considered suicide when the rainbow is enough, which hasn't been done here in 15 years. Okay. And then we have a new piece called The Realness by Idris Goodwin. And it is a hip-hop love story. Okay. And then we have the stories about the old days, which is really about a man who is living in a church, a vacated church. And then we have audition workshops, auditions for Black Nativity, and all of those things, spoken word workshops with Jasmine Sims and Cedric Del Horde. So we are just stimulating and making sure that our artists are able to be supported in Milwaukee community.
What are the dates for the festival again?
The festival starts August 7th through the 25th.
All right, and if people want to find out more information, how can they do that?
blackartsmke.org, or go and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
All right, so good. So good, it'll make you cry. You see it right here. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us. And happy Juneteenth to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Earl.
All right.
All right.
All right, folks, we're at the end. 53 years. Sade, tell me your favorite part about this year.
My favorite part about this year is just like every year, seeing all these beautiful brown faces come together and celebrate for the cause of the emancipation.
I just love learning more about the services being offered to the community. Some of those services needed, some entertainment, but nonetheless, all Black, all the time. I love it. So with that being said, to all of you, on behalf of the Milwaukee PBS and Black Nouveau team,
Happy Juneteenth.